Yo, what's up guys, Ghost here, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going over everything we know about arguably the most interesting new game mode coming to Battlefield 6, which is called Gauntlet. Now there is a substantial amount of new information that's been data mined from the latest Battlefield Labs build floating around the internet, and so I've done my best to compile everything together in one place, and I thought we could take a look at it together. We also have some new loadouts for both the attack helicopters and the new South African Marauder transport vehicle, new info that suggests a test range could be in the game as well, new ammo variants, and a new monetization feature that EA seem to be calling Battlefield Pro. Now, before we get stuck in, apologies to anyone who fell for my April Fool's video the other day. I honestly ended up getting a lot more people with that one than expected, and whilst most of you had fun with it and, reacted pretty positively, some people were actually rather angry with me. So I hope you've cooled off, I hope they've cooled off, and not to worry, there won't be another video like that from me again for about a year. So, without further ado, if you enjoy the content here, consider subscribing. I try to cover every little piece of new information about the upcoming Battlefield game, and of course, on release, I'll be making plenty of guides and keeping you guys up to date with anything worth your time. Most of you guys who watch the videos here regularly aren't actually subbed up yet, so if you guys can check below, that would really help me out a ton, so cheers for that. Okay, so let's begin with the Gauntlet mode, and this sounds like it could be one of the most competitive modes to come to a Battlefield game yet. So Temporal was actually the first one to data mine something on this, and here is his description of it. He says it is an elimination mode for smaller teams, so solo, duo, trio, and then four-man squads, featuring various mission types, circuit, contract, decryption, extraction, heist, rodeo, standoff, vendetta, and wreckage. So this is reportedly going to take place on the Battle Royale map, which is named Granite, and the idea here is that you play these mini rounds, presumably at random, matched up against at least one other team of 1, 2, or 3 other players, depending on what you queue with. It's also fairly likely that this will be a free-to-play experience, so just like the Battle Royale that Ripple Effect are working on, and I can only guess that they're also developing this mode alongside it. So since then, what appears to be descriptions of these mini-modes alongside demonstrational videos have popped up. And here are some of them. The first one is called Vendetta. It says protect targeted squad mates and eliminate key enemy operatives who could compromise the mission. Then we have eliminate hostiles. Not sure if that's going to be the official name, but it simply says capture points and kill hostiles. Next, Rodeo, seize a tank and keep it out of hostile hands. Then we have Hotwire, race to capture zones and destroy hostile vehicles. Extraction, collect data drives and deliver them to an extraction point, so bit of a throwback to 2042's extraction mode there. Decryption, collect and decrypt as many beacons as possible. Heist, sees you retrieve classified intel and deliver it to the squad. And then for Circuit, capture control nodes to build your network. And then finally Territory, secure vital locations for combat dominance. So based on the way that the data mined videos, the instructional videos, line up with the descriptions here, it does look like these are absolutely legit. So I think this is pretty cool. I'll admit it's not really the reason that people play Battlefield per se. Obviously it's more about that large-scale sandbox experience. But assuming it is well balanced, it could make for a more competitive mode than we've ever seen in Battlefield before. Now on the flip side, it also could simply be a very arcadey mode, maybe something that you queue up in when you've had enough of the regular Battlefield modes and you just want to kind of mess around for a while with some friends. As for a Battle Royale being in the game, whilst I certainly have my reservations about it, and it's not generally a mode that I gravitate towards personally, if it leads to a larger player base and more interest in the franchise, then I genuinely think that this could be a good thing. However, I do notice a lot of sentiment online that most people, especially Battlefield players, of course, aren't really interested in a Battle Royale mode. And I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this below. But I think it's in all of our interests, guys, that this mode actually succeed. The rationale is obviously, why couldn't DICE and EA spend that development money on something more important to the game? And so they're sort of rooting for this game mode to fail to show DICE and EA that they have indeed wasted their time. But the fact is, they have decided to go down this route. They've already employed Ripple Effect Studios, basically a dedicated studio just working on these two modes, and so I think it's a beneficial factor for the game in general. If this game succeeds massively, it's going to bring in more players, and who knows, maybe for me, this will be the Battle Royale game that I'll actually jump into and enjoy maybe going forward, and I'll give it a go. Now, that's not to say I don't have worries about it as well. The first one being, I feel like Battle Royale's kind of getting a little bit long in the tooth. It's been around for a while now. Extraction shooters, I feel, are all the rage at the moment, and that's of course what they tried with 2042. That failed. They tried a Battle Royale before, all the way back in Battlefield 5 in 2018 with Firestorm. That failed. This time around, it sounds like they're going to do the right thing and make it free to play. So is that going to be the factor that makes more people come into the game and give it a try? I suppose we'll have to wait and see. And then the other thing that slightly worries me is if we look at Call of Duty and what happened to that franchise when they released Warzone, I think their idea was the same as EA's. Have a free-to-play offering that would hopefully entice people to paying for the full game and jumping into the main game. But what I think we've seen really happen with Call of Duty is that has sort of like replaced, for a lot of people, how you play Call of Duty. Many people just play it for the Battle Royale experience. They're not jumping into, domination or capture the flag or these regular Call of Duty modes that we know from the past. And sure, that hasn't stopped them from developing those mainline Call of Duty games that they always have made, but it really feels like the limelight is strongly shining on these Battle Royale modes. So I just hope the same thing doesn't really happen to Battlefield and Battlefield just becomes like yet another Battle Royale game. So moving on from that, let's talk about some more data mined leaks. So first of all, the Proving Grounds, aka the test range, has also been data mined, and here they found a weapons range, a vehicle depot, an airstrip, and an obstacle course. And here are a couple of sentences saying, successfully complete the vehicle training and complete all tutorials in the Proving Ground. So those sound like they're going to be assignments of some description there to basically point you in the right direction. And I think this, if it's true, is a fantastic idea from DICE. It's been something that we've long needed in the game, and that is not only a test range, but some sort of instruction for new players, and especially when it comes to vehicles. I mean, God knows, if you jumped into a jet in Battlefield 4 and tried to fly it without knowing anything, good luck, because you are probably not going to figure out the 313 flight speed control model without going on YouTube and looking up some additional advice. And whilst we're on the topic of vehicles, here is apparently the loadout for the AH-64E. This is the US attack helicopter. So for the pilots, we have the APKWS, and the APKWS are basically laser guided rockets. Then we have the Hydra 70 HE or high explosive. Those are rockets as well. Then we've got the Zunis. Those of you who played Battlefield 4 will be familiar. These were really the loadout option of choice there for the primary weapons for attack helicopters. I think you only get 8 of them, 4 on each pylon, but they were very, very powerful against tanks on the ground. Secondary weapons then, it says Stinger, but I'm pretty sure this is just like an AA missile, and then of course we have the TOW missile, so pretty standard there, I guess, from what we've come to expect. And then for the equipment here, we've got flares, emergency damage control, which will probably get rid of any damage states that you have had inflicted upon your vehicle, and then we have ground target detection, which is likely going to scan the ground for enemy targets. Then for the passenger side, we have the M230 chain gun, and then for secondary here, we actually have a Hellfire missile, which I believe is actually an AGM, an air-to-ground missile. So no TV missile here. That is a bit of a letdown. I think that was definitely a missed trick in Battlefield 2042. Attack helicopter pilots wanted the TV missile. It's really, to me, one of those weapons that just ties the attack helicopter together in Battlefield games and really makes it what it is. So to not see that here is a little bit of a letdown. But that being said, just because we don't see it in this particular post from this data miner does not mean that it isn't in the game or will never be in the game. As is always the case, guys, with any of these data mines, whilst they may be true and the person isn't exactly like lying about what they found, there's no telling if these things will eventually come to the game. After all, they are being data mined directly from a pre-alpha experimental build. So just putting that out there. Now, this is kind of interesting. It's going to get some passive abilities. So we have heavy weapons, which improves weapons, presumably the damage then, but slows the handling. Improved armor improves the resistance of the vehicle to soldier weapons, which also indicates to us that these vehicles, or at least attack helicopters, and helicopters likely in general, will take damage from small arms fire. Then we have the ground radar, which enables the ground radar, and then anti-radar grants lock-on resistance while the helicopter is moving rapidly. And I can tell you right now that the anti-radar is definitely going to be the one I would choose there. Then we have one of the new APCs, the Marauder. This is actually a South African vehicle, and for the driver's seat here we have the smoke launcher, and then for passenger weapon options we have the LMG, the HMG, and the grenade launcher, so pretty similar to what we see in 2042. But then again, some interesting passive abilities. So integrated medbay increases the health regeneration of friendly soldiers within a radius of this vehicle. So even if you're not in the vehicle, that's pretty cool. It's going to act as some sort of a medical hotspot there. Combat awareness system provides spotting on enemies who damage soldiers within a radius of this vehicle. Then we have mobile command station, increases the rate of objective capture when this vehicle is within the objective. I really like that one, encouraging drivers to get on that objective, really get stuck in. And then we have grenade intercept system, which I assume is APS, destroys grenades but not missiles within a radius around the vehicle. So I think it seems fairly obvious that the vehicle loadouts are going to be very familiar from what we've seen in past Battlefield games, but we are seeing this new perk system for the vehicles that we haven't seen before, and that really ties into what we've seen from the actual leaked gameplay from Battlefield Labs, where the soldiers have this perk system as well, where it looks like you have 4 different levels, and as you gain experience or, accrue points by killing enemies and whatnot, you will unlock the various tiers of those perks, and maybe it's going to work that same way for the vehicles. Now, something else here, which I don't believe we've ever seen in a Battlefield game before, is different ammo variants. And yes, I know we've seen stuff like subsonic ammunition, high-powered, etc. in 2042, but this here, if it turns out to be true, is really on a whole nother level. So, first of all, we have full metal jacket, standard issue ammunition with basic penetration, tungsten core, heavy core ammunition for increased penetration at the cost of increased recoil, and what I'm thinking here is, since we've got such a crazy destruction model in the game as we've seen already, maybe there's going to be a lot of bullet penetration through walls, and they're going to work that into the game. Then we have frangible, brittle ammunition, which disintegrates upon impact, delaying a target's health regen, so basically it's going to take your soldier longer to begin regenerating its health again. Polymer case, lightweight ammunition casing for increased mobility when aiming, so that will presumably increase your ADS speed. Hollow point, ammunition designed to expand on impact, inflicting greater headshot damage, so anybody who's a crack shot is going to love that one. Then we've got the synthetic tip, plastic tipped ammunition designed to expand on impact, inflicting extreme headshot damage, so that's like a souped up version of the hollow point, I guess. And then we have match grade, high quality precision ammunition with superior ballistics, so that sounds like a rifle, like a sniper rifle, marksman rifle kind of ammo there. And then for the shotguns, we've got buckshot, which is of course just the standard ammunition. Then we've got flechette, but this time it actually says fin stabilized steel projectiles with improved penetration and the ability to delay a target's health regeneration, once again there. And then the slugs, a single heavy projectile intended to inflict massive damage on impact. Now, in the past, I have been sort of musing about what is Battlefield 6's monetization going to look like. A lot of people think the game is just going to be $60, $70, and that's it. But you'll probably be kidding yourself. Of course, they're going to have some sort of a battle pass system. Of course, they're going to be selling cosmetics in the store. What are those cosmetics going to look like? We don't really know all too much yet, although in my video the other day, we did have a couple of data mined patches, which are presumably shown on the soldier, like on the arm of the soldier uniforms. Maybe it's just something like in a player card though, we don't really know. But we now have some new information about a brand new system called Battlefield Pro, which, if true, is basically DICE and EA's new way of monetizing Battlefield. So this is everything that Vanek could find on it, and he says it's probably a subscription service similar to Fortnite Crew, or the Rainbow Six membership. So it will include the Battle Pass. You'll get all the perks and the rewards from the Battle Pass in addition to extra exclusive content. There will be 6 exclusive instant unlocks, instantly access these Battlefield Pro exclusive cosmetics. So I assume that's kind of like the premium Battle Pass track where you get a few of the first tiers straight away, 10% more Battle Pass XP, you can host a persistent portal server, so that's just like we have it in 2042 right now, and that would also lead me to believe that the server browser features that have been data mined from the game is most likely only going to be for Portal then and not for the main game, which I think is a shame. 20 tier skips included, advance faster on the Battle Pass path to race to the final reward. Exclusive bonus path. So this is interesting. Gain access to this exclusive bonus path for additional exclusive content. The bonus path will be released later this season. And then we've got Battlefield Pro Challenges. Access to the Battlefield Pro Challenges vault. Unlock exclusive cosmetics from this season's new Battlefield Pro Challenges, and this includes access to previous season's Pro Challenges as well. So these kind of sound like maybe it's some sort of assignments that you complete, and then you get some hidden cosmetics here that you only get if you're part of this Battlefield Pro program. And then finally we get to listen to the Pro radio station. Absolutely no clue what that could entail. Is it going to be like a radio station in vehicles, in helicopters? Can you pick from different tracks, maybe kind of Grand Theft Auto style? That would be pretty sweet. I can't say I'm really surprised by this program. It sort of just sounds like an iteration of the premium Battlefield passes that we have in 2042 at the moment. How much it's going to cost though and exactly what we get from it, I think is really going to be the important factor. And even more important than that is going to be, what do the cosmetics look like? If they look anything like 2042's, well, I know I'm just speaking for myself here, but I just really wasn't excited to get those cosmetics at all. I think the designers at DICE probably did their best with what they had based on those specialists, but the overall theme of the game just doesn't really mesh with what I want to see from Battlefield. So if they've actually got various different uniforms for different factions in different countries, that's going to be pretty good, you know. I think if the cosmetics just look good, people won't really have a problem, obviously assuming that the game is good in itself, shelling out some money for them and maybe buying the Battle Pass. I know some people have like a hard and fast rule, they just will not buy cosmetics, they will not buy Battle Passes, and that's actually fine because it sounds like everything that is included in this Battlefield Pro Pass isn't going to affect gameplay at all, and I think that is incredibly important to state. So that is pretty much going to wrap up this video, guys. I did want to let you know, though, that there are a bunch of leaks on the single-player details of the game. Why there are single-player details in the Battlefield Labs playtest, I have no idea. But I'm not going to go over those in this video, because to me, a single-player campaign isn't something that you want spoilt. It's probably going to be short, it's only going to be like 5 to 10 hours, and if you're anything like me, you just want to play through the campaign by yourself on day one and not have anything spoiled for you. So I'm not going to go over it in this video, but if you are so inclined, there are a bunch of posts over on the Battlefield subreddit, and I'm sure if you are that dedicated, you'll be able to find them. So just putting that out there. And finally, the news on the grapevine is that there's a brand new Battlefield Labs test starting off tomorrow on Friday, if you're watching this video today, that is, so that's going to be on the 4th of April. So make sure you go and check your inboxes, make sure you check your junk folders, and make sure you haven't missed an invite, otherwise you're going to be kicking yourself. As far as I've heard, I don't know if this has any truth to it, but they're only going to be testing some more changes to TTK, or the time to kill in the game. So whether we're going to see like a new map, I mean, obviously we're not supposed to see anything, right? It's under NDA, but let's be real, something has leaked from the past couple of tests, although I will say that the second test had a lot fewer leaks than the first test, so maybe we're going to see even fewer leaks this time around. But if we do see anything or hear anything interesting of note, I will be sure to put a new video out on the Saturday, updating you guys on all of those juicy details. That's going to do it, guys. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, leaving a like down below is massively appreciated, as is subscribing to the channel. Hope you have a great day, and I will see you guys in the next one.